Hey, you guys having fun yet? Hope you're learning something. As we go through this, a lot of these concepts, uh, maybe it's your first time hearing. A lot of this is just kind of a basic accounting course, basic business course, uh, but with the technicalities built in of a trucking company. So, cash flow management during this whole money management section. Um, I'm kind of a numbers guy. I like numbers. Other people aren't, and I understand that listening, trying to understand financial concepts can be like watching paint dry, like watching grass dry and watching paint grow. Like I get it. It can be snooze fest. I get it. I'm trying to move on uh pretty fast through them. Try to not get too long-winded. There are a lot of key concepts that are very important. Like when you have a wreck in a vehicle, it can be catastrophic. You can have catastrophic failures. But in a business, this cash and money management is the fuel, the oil, is the guts of the business. And so just like we want to keep our trucks dark side down, rubber side down, uh, we want to keep the business functioning. And you don't want to have a financial wreck. You don't want to have any other wrecks. Everyone, you guys are all well and good and safe. Just sure of it. One of the biggest things to differentiate is the difference between economics and finances. Economics is the bird's eye view. This is basically what your accountant is going to do. This is the role they fulfill because the government, the IRS, wants to know whether you made money or not. They don't really care in what fashion and at what times things came in. They just want to know the total overall numbers. You made this much this year. Okay, great. What were your cost of goods sold? Okay, great. And on down the line from there. We don't need to get into that anymore. We do dive quite a bit deeper in the mastery course. And if you have not upgraded, I would suggest you do that, especially if you're planning to do any more than just being an owner operator and just getting by. This foundations course is going to be everything you need to survive the first year. But if you're wanting to grow at all or hire any people to help you do all these jobs, there's all these jobs you got to do. If you want some help, I would really consider upgrading. So, economics is the bird's eye view. After all the dust settles, did you make money or not? Finances, on the other hand, is your day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month cash management. Do you have the income you need before the expenses take it away? It's all well and good that you're making money. So let me say this. What good would an accounts receivable of $1 billion be if your expenses put you out of business before you can collect the money? I'm going to say that again. What good is $1 billion in accounts receivable if your expenses take that money before you can receive the money. That's what finance is. It economics is, okay, we made $1 billion this year. Finances is, okay, I have fuel coming out next Monday as an example. Therefore, I need the money for the fuel before then, by Friday, so that the bank will, and, so that the bank will clear the check and all the things. That's a financial management decision, not an economic. So it's more the management. Economics and things, that's kind of up to the accountants and the tax man. But your job, cash flow management, business management, is the finances. In a way, it's taking a much more detailed look at your cash needs. You need to look forward this week, this month, next quarter, the rest of the year, and even into next year, and do some cash flow projections and make sure you're going to be able to sustain the obligations you have. Another example is if you have a bill due on the 15th of the month, but you're not going to get any money until the 26th, so 11 days later, you have a financial problem. The bill is due on the 15th, but you're not going to get paid until the 26th. Now, I'm sure if you're an adult in America who's had to make their own way, at least partially, you understand what this is and how this feels. It's not good. It's another reason why you always need to have some retained earnings to carry you through those times. But sometimes things get real tight. Stay very creative when it comes to dealing with these problems, because they're going to come up. You're going to get into a cash pinch. But hopefully you learn from it and you vow to yourself, never again, never again. The less credit and risk that you have, the fewer of these challenges you'll face. So the higher cash value you have, the less challenges you'll face. The more credit and therefore risk that you have in your business model, you're adding payments that are going to need serviced more frequently. Sometimes it's unfortunate, but sometimes you get to choose who doesn't get paid. And that's a hard choice. Do I choose horrible or awful? And there's no easy choices, but sometimes you may have to have difficult conversations with vendors who may shut you off, who may fire you. So sucks, but sometimes you got priorities, and sometimes this is what business is. Rip the Band-Aid off and just own up to it and manage it. Do what you got to do. So always be thinking of who could kind of wait for some payments. But on the other hand, what can you do to make sure that you're getting paid sooner, more frequent? It's a fact. The quicker you get invoices out, the quicker some will start coming in. It all depends on your business model. Now, if you're working, let's just say you're leased on with the company and they are handling everything, and you get a weekly paycheck, more or less a weekly contractor check. That's great. You know what you're going to have. That's one business model, and that's a great one. It's a really good one. I really like that one. I've done it, and it's great. On the other end, let's say you've got 100 customers you're trying to service all the time, and you send invoices out to them, and they'll just pay you whenever they feel like it. That's that can be good and bad too. But just always be thinking of what ways can you get paid sooner and more frequent. If you've got your cash flow figured out, that is really great news. This is what kills most new businesses, trucking or otherwise. They're they're undercapitalized, they're over leveraged credit, and their cash flow isn't near what they think it should be. The higher your retained earnings, the higher your cash position, the less of these problems you're going to face. And it turns it from a catastrophic. If you have zero money in the bank and you're just getting by and anything happens at all, you could be out of business as early as next week. I hope none of you are that close. I've been there before, but I hope none of you are there. The higher your retained earnings, your cash position, the easier all these problems. They go from catastrophic, horrible things to slightly annoying. Two very different ways to view sometimes the same problem, depending on your position, where you're looking at it. Or not where you're looking at it from. If you're sitting on retained earnings, your cash position might fall because of this quote problem, or it could be business ending. So, point is, more cash, less credit. Okay, so the new entrepreneur, maybe that's you, maybe that's not. And I'm mostly in this situation talking about company drivers who have an entrepreneurial seizure, thinking, you know, my boss is so dumb, and the only way he could be dumber is if he was twins. I could run one of these trucking companies with my, eyes closed. And he has an entrepreneurial seizure and goes out and, goes to trucking on his own. He's used to bringing home, and it all depends, but I'm just going to throw out a number. Don't hold me to it. Around 5 or 6 or 7 grand a month. Okay. That's what he or she is used to dealing with. That's the level. And suddenly he starts his trucking company, and he's now making 25 or 30,000 a month, possibly. And he thinks, wow, yeah, this working for yourself stuff's pretty all right. The problem is they begin to thinking, okay, it's probably time I go buy a new pickup, take more money to the house. Let's do some DIY stuff at the house. Let's do some of these upgrade quality of life things. And I can guarantee you it's not time yet, especially your first year in business. It's just not time to go start spending this money, because it's not all available to be spent. I would really strongly, forcefully, with a lot of gusto, say, please, if I could grab your shoulders, I'd say, please keep your wages the same as you're used to. If you were a company driver making $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month, keep your wages right there. Everything else, donate right back into the business, which is your money too. It's just in a different pocket. Keep your wages as low as possible, because in a way you steal the future growth of your company. If every dollar the company earns, you are siphoning right off just as quick as it can come through. You're taking it out. You're stealing the future growth, the potential growth that you have in your company. Retained earnings, RE, huge, biggest cash pool there should be in your business. This is where your money should live. At a bare minimum, bare minimum. 1 month of expenses, but you want to get to where you have 3 to 6 months expenses in that account. So in one of the examples I used, I'm not looking at the slide, but in my memory, it was about 20,000 was our expenses for 1 month in that example. Yeah, it was like 16,000 in direct costs and like 4,000 in overhead costs. So give or take 20 grand. Let's just say that's what it is. You need to have at a minimum 20 grand in the bank all the time. All the time. You have a catastrophic mechanical failure and you're out for 2 or 3 weeks. You still have overhead to go to come out. You still have wages to pay yourself, depending on the arrangement you have with yourself or with a driver. 20 grand minimum. If you have less than 20 grand, your freaking hair's on fire. So like, it's important. Stop spending money at the house and get that cushion built up. Get that safety net built up. But 3 to 6 months is better, way better. And you may never get to 6 months. When it comes time to level up trucks, multiple trucks and things, we'll talk about those benchmarks and how you know when it's time to buy the second truck, third truck, fourth truck, all the way up to 10 trucks. That's in the mastery training. So if you haven't upgraded, you should consider that if that's where you're headed, if that's where your goals are leading you. Credit. Credit is not an emergency fund. The only thing I can think of worse, well, we'll talk about that another time, but here you are in a bad way suddenly. Okay, you're short of cash, you're high on expenses. The worst possible thing you can do is use credit to try to solve the problem. Credit is not income. Credit is not income. Credit actually equals risk. Just know that the rainy days are coming, so be ready. Just be ready because they're coming. One of the ways you can keep ahead of things is by forecasting, by projecting, by budgeting. You have to. You just have to. You have to know your costs. And your costs can come out very irregularly. Great example, it depends on, but like registration as an example. So truck registration, depending on the truck you get, $2,500 to $3,500, right? To go register your truck. Some of you remember what that sting is. Well, that cost is going to come back up next year on your anniversary. On your 1-year anniversary, you're going to get to go through that again. So let's just call it $3,600 for easy math. Okay. Divided by 12 months. That means $300 a month needs to be going in that account in your retained earnings so that you're not surprised. Oh my gosh, now we have this big bill to pay. Don't be ridiculous. You knew it was coming. It wasn't a surprise. So be ready. Forecast out, budget out, get the money in the account before it's needed. Insurance is another one. Some of you are paying monthly, others are paying annually. You get a discount if you pay bigger chunks, obviously. So it's a good thing if you can if you can get there. If you're not there yet, work on getting there. Repairs too, like if you know, as an example, maybe the first quarter is really slow. That's a great time to, instead of waiting until things are really busy in the middle of the year to do some repairs, do them when things are slow anyways, and you're not out the time. So have the cash saved up so that when it's time, you can just do it. And downtime, that will hit you at mechanical failures, will hit you at the most inopportune time. It just will. You'll be cranking along, things are just flowing, man, making money, and bam, there you are. You have to have a reserve of cash. Depending on the type of equipment that you bought, you may have warranty, you may have help with repairs, you may not. If you're doing all the work yourself, that's one conversation. If you're way away from home and you're relying on some other shop to get you going, that's a completely different conversation. You've got hotels, you've got eating, not to mention the repair cost, not to mention all the lost opportunity cost of all those days down. Your overhead costs still need to be paid, even if you're not making any money. And these are the things that cause new authority, new carriers to go out of business. Like I'm telling you, this is why the business starts on fire, is these things. So retained earnings, cash, not credit. And I think I've pretty well beat this to death, but have the cash on hand. Look forward. What cash are you going to need next month, next quarter, the end of the year, next year? Start saving today. Your cash balance in your bank account should go up every single month. You should be spending less than you make. Your gross income minus all your costs, every month you should have more cash in your account. I don't really care how you do it as long as you're doing it. Do your budgeting, keep track of your numbers. If you don't want to do that, you need to outsource it to somebody who can or will, and do it good so that you know at a glance where you're at all the time. And it's so freeing. Okay, it's so liberating. It brings a level of peace to know that you can weather some storms. Now, you can't weather storms indefinitely, but if you're sitting there with 20, 30 grand in the bank, just as a single owner operator, you can even have an engine go out, and yeah, it sucks, but your business isn't over. Getting paid, that's what it's all about. Show us the Benjamins, right? Fact. The faster you get invoices out and the more correct you do it for their system. And when I say their and them, that means your customer who you worked for, who is now going to pay you. Maybe that's the broker. Maybe that's direct shipper. Whoever that is, invoice them the way they want to be invoiced, and do it daily if you can. Just when you get done with one, that invoice goes out right then. Don't wait. Brokers and shippers can be very particular on how you submit your paperwork. Keep all your paperwork for the load, all of it. Give it to them in the order and in the fashion and in the format they want. and triple check, over communicate. Get on the phone with them, on the email with them. This is how you want it, correct? Okay, here it is. I just sent it. Is it correct? Because here's what'll happen. You won't think too much about it. You'll just send it on its way. And then 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, you're like, where is my money? And you'll call and like, oh, well, we never got it. That's probably a lie, but irregardless, they say they didn't get it. So then you could resubmit it. Hopefully you still have all the paperwork. So I would keep all that paperwork until the money's in the bank. But sometimes brokers and shippers will even use that. Some of them are a little crooked. You got to pay attention. They'll use some of the littlest, stupidest things, and they won't pay you at all. Like, no, it's clear on our terms that invoices need to be invoiced within 24 hours, and you were outside of that. So we legally and technically don't owe you any money because you were outside of some arbitrary window. Just be careful. That's everything. You're going to get screwed from time to time. I hope that never happens to you. Let's not say that's going to happen to you. It's happened to me several times, and boy, does it hurt. You need to be really careful. They'll use any little thing they can as an excuse to not pay you at all or to delay payment till their last possible day. Follow their instructions and follow up, follow up, follow up. Everything from, okay, so you submitted it all, and let's say that they say that they're 60 days out. Okay, when it gets to day, gosh, 45 or so, you need to have a reminder, or whoever's doing this job for you, send a reminder, get a hold of them and say, hey, we're on track to get paid in 15 days, correct? In what format? Is it going to be an ACH? Is the check, what day will the check be mailed out? And again, it's just so much better to find these problems earlier rather than later. Accounts receivables. Gosh, this can be a bear. You want to try to keep your accounts receivables as low as possible. The problem in this business is that you've got your variable costs coming out regularly, for sure monthly. Some of these outfits, fuel outfits, they take fuel out twice a week. So you got to pay for the fuel this week, but you won't get paid for 60, 90 days. Sometimes never. It's an awful business model. So you want to keep your accounts receivable, the amount coming into you, as low as possible. And I also understand that it takes a while to get in the groove, but once you're in that groove, once you've met the 60 or 90 days, then virtually every day you've got some money coming in, and that covers your expense. But you had to cover the 2 months of operating costs, and it can hurt. Now, it is equity. You are building equity into your business, and just make sure you can survive it. And again, this class is about the financial side of things. This is just about the day-to-day, week-to-week money management, shifting money, making sure I've got what I need when I need it. So there we are. You might have tens of thousands of dollars in costs that you're just carrying these companies because they're slow pay or no pay. A factoring company may be an option for you depending on your business model or who you're working for. If you don't know, a factoring company will take a percentage off. They'll basically buy your accounts receivable. If you're owed $10,000, they might give you $9,500 today, and then they get to collect $10,000 when it comes in. if you're paying any more than 5, 6%, 7, keep shopping. I mean, you can get them down to 2, 3% if you have enough volume. But this way you get paid today and they have to wait for the accounts receivable. The other thing about factoring companies that is a good thing, there's a lot of brokers and shippers that they won't even work for. So as a new carrier, this can really help because they may have dealt with this company in the past. And when it comes right down to it, they'll say, oh no, we won't factor that. And then that should make a bell go off in your mind, a red flag saying, maybe we shouldn't work for this person, even though their rate might look good. We probably shouldn't get involved with this person because getting paid is going to be troublesome. So just be careful who you're working for, just like they're vetting you, making sure you're going to be able to do the job. But sometimes you'll make more money by just sitting at the house than you will going out there working for free and not getting paid and slow pay. And those things will just kill your business, I'm telling you. Now, I'm not saying you should just stay at the house and not work. I'm saying be careful who you're working for. Get in a system, get in with somebody who knows, and kind of look out for you if you're doing those sort of things. If you have more of a relationship with some direct shippers, it's completely, and with your broker, dispatcher, and your dispatcher can tell your the brokers and the shippers, it's perfectly okay to just go to them and be like, hey, I want to work for you. I think it's great. But I'm just getting started and I need to get paid like fast, straight up. If I send an invoice, I need it within a couple weeks. And you guys are killing me on holding me out this long. Like, I'm going to go out of business. I'm just a little guy, just getting going. I need a little help. And you may be able to work something out where you can offer a little discount if they'll pay you within a week or two. Maybe you give them a 5%, 10%. Determine what it's worth to you to get paid sooner. When you're panicked and frantic, you'll take pennies on the dollar. We all know this. We don't want to get to that position, but if you are, develop a new system to where you're getting paid more and more frequently. So just like we're trying to push our accounts receivable down and getting paid a little faster, if you get into some hard times, you can start to go the other way with your expenses. You can start to slow that payment process down. You're going to pay some late fees. You're going to make some enemies potentially, which you don't want, but you may have to choose who can wait a little while, who can't. Fuel is a big one. Fuel is a big one. It's usually your second largest cost. And when you have to get that paid for every week or twice a week, or even on a net 30, you can get strung out pretty far really fast. So when you get into some hard times possibly, and you're needing to do that, if you know that the fuel shutoff time is Saturday at midnight, maybe you don't fuel until Sunday morning. Maybe it's worth that extra couple hours of downtime. Just go to bed on Saturday afternoon and get up Sunday and fuel and go from there. And that way that fuel is attached to the next week's. This creativity, it sucks to have to rob Peter to pay Paul, but sometimes you have to do it. Same thing with your mechanic or your parts. I can't make a living. I need you to fix the truck. Fix the truck. Okay. I need to pay you on a little bit of time or whatever because I need the truck to make money. I can't pay you if I'm not making money. So it sucks. It sucks. And you don't want to do that. Don't be that kind of business. Have your retained earnings, have your cash positions, have your equity positions in order so that you don't have to be a beggar and a borrower and a slave to the lender. So don't get in these positions. But when you get there, it's not the end of the world. Just keep negotiating your way through it. Just keep working it out step by step. Everything will be okay. Trade is another big thing that a lot of people overlook. You can trade all kinds of things for all kinds of things. And if somebody's looking at you and knows that you're in hard times and they're a little nervous of getting paid, they'll take discounted money, settlement, or they'll trade for something else of value because they're not real sure they're going to get paid. So do whatever you have to do to stay alive, but don't let yourself get in those positions. Credit is the absolute worst thing. It's almost never the answer. Don't go get another credit card to try to survive another few weeks. And, high interest, that consumer type credit is the absolute worst. I can't think of anything that's going to make your problem worse faster than adding more debt on top of a bad cash position. You cannot borrow your way out of a bad financial situation. Credit is not income. Debt is not income. Just because you have money available to spend today doesn't mean it's actually yours to spend. You're going to have to pay for it tomorrow. If you are going to do anything, have a line of credit at a lower interest rate so that you can spread it out over time, not credit cards. Don't do it. Just don't do it. I've seen so many guys just ruin. You get going, you're all full of life and your new business and things are going. Then you hit a little speed bump and they get into a little more debt, a little more credit, and they try to go again and they stumble again. And about 3 or 4 times of that going on, they're so buried in credit card debt they can't even breathe. And it's not the life you want to live. Okay, homework time. Get and maintain at least 1 month's worth of expenses to keep in an account. It can be your regular checking account. It can be in a savings account somewhere, but you need to have some retained earnings. But in order to know how much 1 month's worth of expenses are, you need to know what your costs are. So if you haven't done that homework yet, you're late. It's important. You need to know. And then sit down and do a cash flow projection for the next few days, for the next few weeks, for the next few months, up until a year from now. What do your cash needs look like? And therefore, what are you going to do to meet those? And then, of course, always keep an eye out for ways to extend your expenses if you need to. If you can just pay them as quick as possible, on time, before they're due. That's the way you want to run your business. Okay, hope this helps, guys. I want you to win.